And then what I'll wind up doing is I need to share this onto our church page after I get over to my desk. Right now I'm at my real desk that has a lot of stuff on it as opposed to the fake setup desk where you can't see the mess. So, and I want to put that in gallery view. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, this is how no one sees what's behind the camera, so it's all good. I love your background.
Yeah.
Did you see Gabe put up, did you see he had pizza as his background?
Oh, no, I didn't see it.
He put a picture up and it was him inside a pizza.
That's good. Right?
It was good. Okay.
See, this picture is just a little taste of home, right?
Yeah. So you never quite feel alone.
I never feel alone.
Okay, let me share this. So as much as I've become more tech savvy, technology has never frustrated me more than now. So, here we go. There we go. So I use this program called Restream.io. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. I'm even less tech than you.
Okay, so I started using it so that I could live stream to Facebook and YouTube. But in order to have it be free, I couldn't link it to the church Facebook page. If you want to link it like that, then you have to pay for it. But you could do it with a personal page. So what I wind up doing is I stream it to my personal page and then I share it live to the church page. So, doing what I can.
Yeah, that's how we, you get around every system.
Yeah, right? What else should a pastor do?
And this has got to be free. I can even do it on the free dime, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Okay. Shared it. Now we're good. So, I don't know if Gabe will come in and say hi or not. I think he might still be in his pajamas.
Oh, that's good. Hey, he's done with classes, right? He gets to sleep in the summer.
He's he was just so happy to be done because his other classes didn't pose as much of a challenge to be online, but his Japanese course online was just brutal. And then because now he has to type it all in Japanese.
Oh, wow.
So having to go from handwriting everything in Japanese to typing in Japanese that then autocorrects itself.
Oh,
He's it's just so hard. And on one of the quizzes, before he realized it was autocorrecting itself without him seeing it, he had gotten a really bad grade because it grades it automatically. So he went back and looked. He's like, that's not what I typed. I didn't type that. And so, he told his professor, hey, there's an autocorrect on that, and we didn't know. We've never done anything online. So she dropped that for everybody because everybody bombed it. So, but yeah.
I didn't think about that, right? Doing language and then the autocorrect component.
Yeah.
I mean, you're even in English, right? We type so fast and you don't even pay attention to. And I mean, we've all sent texts that autocorrect, and you're like,
I wish I hadn't said that without reading it.
Right? I mean, I didn't. That's not what I said. I didn't say that.
Yeah. So that's been an issue. He took his Japanese final Sunday night at midnight because that's when it opened. He's like, I'm ready to be done with this. I'm going to do it right now. And he just said it was just so brutal. And, he's very, intent on keeping his 4.0. And he was like, after that final, I might not have a 4.0. It's like, oh dear. So he is glad to be done.
Yeah.
How about your girls? Are they done now?
No, they operate on a quarter system.
Oh.
And so instead of semesters, they do quarters. So they are a month out.
Okay.
But then they don't start until like the end of August.
Oh, okay.
No, the end of September. The end of September is when they start in the fall.
Okay.
In the fall to Christmas, and then they do a winter quarter from January to mid-March.
Okay.
Into March, and then from end of March to first part of June. So there are 3 quarters, and then there's the summer quarter, which would be the 4th quarter.
Okay.
But they won't do that. So what I like about it, I mean, if you think about it, spring break for them is actually between quarters. So they finished up all of their work for 1 quarter.
Right.
And when they come back, they start fresh.
Oh, that's nice.
Right in the semester, when you take that, that week break, well, it's 10 days really when it's all said and done that
right.
You've got either things you're carrying with you to do during that time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tendency to get so disengaged that when you come back, you're like, crap, where am I? What do I have to remember? Where am I?
Oh, yeah.
So that's one of I think, the benefits of that system. I mean, there's certainly strengths and weaknesses in every model, but it's also 10 weeks in duration, so it's more compact.
Right.
So you're focused for a shorter period of time on that material. So that's a long answer to the June, right? They'll be done in June.
It's good. It's a good answer. Also, Andy Faye says hi.
Hey, Andy.
He wants to know where your mask is.
I have it on my desk, but it's not on my desk anymore.
Best I have is a bandana. Like I didn't get on the mask train fast enough. And so, yeah.
Well, I had to have somebody give me a box.
Oh.
I couldn't find them.
Wow, that's nice.
So I had someone in one of our actually at our Chinese church, they gave me a box of masks. But now that, it's New York City, right? So
yeah.
The street vendors are kind of getting back out, and that's their product now. That's their line of masks.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine. Like when you used to be able to go out and get a fake Rolex, now you're getting fake masks. Like,
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's the pushing, right? Anything that has to do with masks and hand sanitizers.
Oh my goodness.
That's the product now on the street.
And the hand sanitizer is probably half water. That's a riot. Oh my goodness. So tell me, I saw the other day you went, you posted about that you hadn't really, I think you said you walked, was it 14 miles?
Yeah, it ended up being just under 16, but that doesn't, 14, 16.
Sure. No, so tell me a little bit about, that post to me was just, it encompassed everything that I think that I've felt myself during this time, as a human being, as a pastor, even as a wife. It's like, man, I just feel so like I'm operating at such a low level because I can't really meet my personal needs of like mental, emotional health probably in a regular way, and I've had to get creative to do that in other capacities, which still isn't quite meeting the need. So your post really, of course, people who are watching probably don't know the post, so if you don't mind just kind of reiterating some of your feelings and your thoughts and even just your ponderings of going around New York City and kind of what's going on.
Yeah, I think we're all creatures of habit, right? In many ways, we develop a weekly rhythm, and we've had that. And so I don't even know. I lose track of time, right? So early March is really when some of the social distancing, stay at home, and I work in the district office, so I live in Manhattan, but our office is our office is out on Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't have a car in the city, so I take public transportation, and it's about if everything goes smoothly, right? I hit every train, I can get door to door in right at about an hour. But that could turn into an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes,
Okay.
easy, right? But I have a rhythm coming and going, and you get certain things done. But then to stay at home, and I think this is kind of where it happened for me. It's taken me several variations of trying to figure out what ought my daily tasks be, right? What are legitimate? And I think when I put this in there, probably because there are these sneaky voices in my head, perhaps legitimate, perhaps illegitimate, about what our expectations,
Right.
what I should be doing, how much I should be doing. There's the need, and this is in ministry, this is life for a lot of people, right? The need that you see around you is far greater than the resources that you have, right? Personally,
Right.
and so there's the temptation already to run at a level that's beyond really what you can do. So that's kind of all in the background. And by not having my daily rhythm, right, that I would go to the gym.
Yep.
For me, I think I mentioned in there, running or my swimming or my cycling, all forms of exercise, but also are the primary places where I'm able to pray and meditate, right?
Yeah.
So my favorite has always been in the water, right? When I'm swimming, there's absolutely no noise, right? There's no noise under the water. It's just you, your thoughts, your prayers, whatever it may be. And so I haven't had any of that. And I've tried to start walking. And I'm able to do that. But all of that, it built up. I felt like it was kind of clogging my arteries, I guess is a way to think about that, right? My head and my heart. Expectations of not doing enough or not being available enough to my people. And I just needed to clear all of that, purge all of that, get all of that corrosion, I guess is the language I used, out of my system. And so that long walk on Saturday, it was a few walks. It wasn't just one long 14, 16-mile walk, but there a few walks throughout the day. One really about an 8-mile, 9-mile walk down to Battery Park from where we live. Around there. There's just limited people, right? Because we're all staying at home, or at least in the same geography. And it was really a space to pray. And there were just, I showed some pictures. The one that has captured me is Wall Street Episcopal Church, right downtown, has become over the years dwarfed by, the stock exchange and all of these other. And there was something clearing to my head and my heart about where the church should be, even in the midst of all of this, right? We often want to be the centerpiece of everything, right? That everything is about us and we're the primary act in town. But really, where we find ourselves in society today, I think, is really more on the margins, right? We're dwarfed by these larger narratives of capitalism, of political exchange, whatever it may be, and what is the church's role in all of this? So that picture of the Trinity or Wall Street Church being dwarfed by these other buildings was really the image that I've carried with me to even help me orient myself in my work. Right, that as decisions are being made, what is the church's role? I don't find a need to reimagine or to engage in church in the same kind of way that we were. And again, that's where we are and the opportunities that we have. We don't have a building, we rent space. And so we're probably going to become a hybrid church, right? We're going to be in person and online, right? It's going to be a modified way of doing church together. Because we're in the city, we're not going to be able to gather together in groups for a long time. And even like in our apartment, if we keep some sense of social distancing in our
right,
we can have two other people over it, right? So we're not even going to do small groups in the same kind of way. We're jam like 8, 10 of us in a room. That's not going to happen. So all of that was kind of a purging, reorienting myself in the work that I'm doing.
Right. I think what's really, well, there's so much in that's, I think, valuable. The part about like reimagining and rethinking about, well, specifically for your context, it's just going to be totally different. But my hope is that even those churches that are not in that specific context, having now had a taste of this, which has pretty much been forced upon us because of what it is that we kind of glean certain practices from what we've been forced to do in order to move into the future building church. The part that really is powerful to me that you had mentioned is that the church often wants to be a central figure, but is dwarfed by all these other things that happen around us at a constant click. And the church can't necessarily operate at that level or that click that everyone else is operating at because we don't have the funds or the resources or the people or the time or whatever. And I feel like for so long the church has fought that instead of accepting the role that it's in and like living into that. And I think for so long we use the resources to fight to be the center instead of using the resources a little bit more wisely in order to kind of foster the position that we're already in. And I think that a time like this might force us to rethink that. And not that we should just be pushed back into something, but in order to use those resources a little bit more wisely, I think that a time like this helps us to rethink that, I think. And I also think that, I also think this is just never what I wanted it to be. Like, I never want this. I've never wanted this. I've never wanted to sit alone and talk to a camera, ever, I don't think. So for me, so much of it is, well, first, I guess more than anything is just that I feel so changed by this. And I've said that time and time again, like, in the beginning, I was kind of joking about it, and I was like, I will never be the same person after this. Like, the first week, I was kind of like, haha. But, like, I'm truly never going to be the same person again. Like, the way this has challenged me and changed me is, has been huge. Right. And it's a very difficult thing to accept at that same time. Like, it's very hard to accept. And I as hard as change is on the daily, like of just a regular change, this is just a massive change. And so thinking about these concepts that I think the church has faced for a long time, and then was kind of forced very quickly into it, into these changes, is like a lot to function under. And so like trying to be myself in this new situation and also trying to like lead a church is really exhausting. And like people are probably thinking, oh, but you're home all the time, how tired could you be? Well, guess what? Like, I'm really tired. Like, I'm just at max capacity.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah, I've been using the image. We're trying to build a bridge as we cross it.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes we feel like we don't even have the architecture plans in place yet. Right.
Right. We're making it up as we go.
We're doing this thing, and yet I think the first weeks were, were so overwhelming. I mean, there is a sense now in which I feel that, and that's maybe because we're forecasting further down, that we're kind of in this middle space right now that is somewhat settled, right? That we know that we're where we are. We're not asking questions yet about when are we reopening, right? We're not asking those kinds of questions right now.
Right.
So there's a little space here, but I think the church has been struggling with questions of priorities for a long time.
Yep.
Has been struggling with a fuzzy understanding of mission.
Yep.
And role in society. So I think this is helping to clarify, and in that I think this is what I'm experiencing, what I feel is that this is now going to be an opportunity to really focus on and we use the word discipleship, right? A formation in this kind of way, rather than kind of the celebration on Sunday, the mass gathering, right? That's going to be de-emphasized now, and what's going to be emphasized are formation opportunities, right? One of the things I've been thinking about is that I think most of us, if we're really honest, many of us, I'll say, we see our faith functional as a means of encouragement and support when things are hard.
Right.
And so we'll tap into it when things get really hard, and we'll pray a little more. We'll read Bible, the scriptures, and try to find an answer to why am I feeling this way. And yet, what we're really invited into is this notion of a relational matrix with God and others and creation, and maybe this is the opportunity to reemphasize union with God and with one another, intimacy, vulnerability in ways that really allow us to confront who we are and what really ultimately matters to us, right? And so that's been kind of where I've started to think about then, how then do we structure our shared life together in ways that foster those things. So for me, I'm borrowing someone else's stream for Sunday sermon, and I'm like, I don't have the capability of doing that, right? But what we've emphasized is the need for connectedness,
right?
Because even before it pronounced in New York City, but it's true across the literature, across the country, that people are lonely.
Yeah.
Right? And that this is really highlighting that level of disconnection and loneliness for people. And so my approach has been more geared toward staying connected. So we like you. I mean, we do a Zoom coffee time on Tuesdays, because at that point, people were starting to work from home who had never worked from home before. They didn't even know how to organize their day, right? They went to the office for all of that. And now they've got to do all of this, and they've got maybe a pet, or they've got kids, or they've got all of these other things around them.
Yep.
The coffee break on Tuesday kind of served as a way to keep us connected, right? To give us, and we do a Friday lunch as well, and then Thursday Bible study, and then we've added now a Sunday evening Vesper service as a way for us to navigate all of this space. And then I give them streams of other churches and other things to watch on Sunday. But I think it's the opportunity for the church to reemphasize connection with God and with one another and with all of creation, right? That it's that space of relationship that's being that we're feeling the loss of, right? There's not and the need for, right? we feel it perhaps in a heightened way that we took for granted before. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think for us, I hesitate to say this out loud, but I feel like we've got to create a significant digital platform. That I think what I've learned in this is that people are entering the church via digital platforms first.
Yep.
And then one of the phenomenons in New York City are called pop-up events, right? Pop-up shops.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So we might. I feel that maybe the step forward for us is to really create a digital platform, and then use pop-up gatherings as a way of moving from observer to participant, right? So a different way of thinking about, right, on a certain level on a digital platform, I can observe and I'm not really engaged. I can monitor that engagement, that level of engagement, but the goal being to become a participant in the community in different ways. So those are images, that's ways I'm starting to think about some of this, which then means we would just rent on an hourly or daily basis rather than consistent overhead of building, rental, and
right.
ad. But I'm going to need help on a digital platform. But I see it. I really see it as a more than just a PDF, right, of the Book of Common Prayer, but kind of digital resources that are tied to cultivating a life of faith. And what does this look like? So it could be a series of Vesper services each week, or it could be some webinars about faith formation, as well as devotionals, all in 3, 5, maybe 9-minute clips, right?
Right.
That's what someone's going to watch on the train, right? They're going to get this in those different kinds of ways.
Yeah, I like that. And as far as digital platform type stuff, teenagers are the people. They know everything. That's the only way I got this all set up was from one of our teens at church who got it totally, set me up with it.
Probably 7 minutes, right?
Yeah, it was so fast. And then he had kind of taught me how to do all these different screens and stuff like that I've messed around with a little bit, but it was really helpful. And I don't know, it's a lot to figure out and manage. And I've shared a couple of things on our church page that Carla Sundberg is doing a class, and Jesse Middendorf. Is it Jesse Middendorf?
Yeah, Jesse Middendorf.
Okay. That he's doing one too, and so I shared that on our page, so people are kind of connected with that. And then working on getting some sort of Bible study and or just group together for during the week. But other than that is I stream every day for lunch, and I sit here and talk to anyone and everyone. So that's kind of been my way to connect. And there are some days I just don't get on. I'm just it's not happening today. I can't function, or I just feel too overwhelmed. And so there's definitely days I don't get on because it's just how am I going to sit there and look at the camera today? I just can't. I just truly cannot. And, even down to the fact that now, so for Sundays, this is how I do my message. I sit here, I do it just like this. But then I also play piano and sing. And let me just tell you, practicing that all week and picking out the songs, even though there's only about 4 or 5, my the mental capacity it takes for me on all of that and writing the sermon is just the amount of pressure I put on it's the amount of pressure I put on myself, really. It's just it leads all up to Sunday and Sunday afternoon. Typically, anyhow, Sunday afternoons I'd be exhausted just because that's how I am. I give it everything I've got and I put it all out there, and then I'm just done. Well, now with playing piano and singing, it's just, I literally could go to sleep at 2 o'clock the afternoon Sunday and wake up Monday morning. That's how I feel. And it's just like trying to even take on one other thing is just like, yeah, I don't know.
I think there are some days that I am so exhausted, right? And I can say, well, what did I do, right? But there's this, at least for me. I mean, I've got to constantly be thinking about handles and doorknobs in ways that I never did before, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, in our building, we certainly had confirmed cases of people in our buildings, and so we have shared laundry and all of these kinds of things that. All of this is now in your mind that you're just thinking about all of the time.
Right.
That, and for me, I mean, there is, right? Am I doing enough? And even pastoral care, right? In this sense, I'll say it. Like Sunday, what I came to reflect on was Sunday was kind of your pastoral care check-in for the week, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone's there, you're kind of listening, you're paying attention. And from those people, you say, these are the ones that I need to contact this week.
Right.
That seem to be in need of some support in some kind of way. Well, you don't have that anymore, right? You don't have that group check-in, and so you've got to check in on everyone.
Yep.
Right? And it's not that it's just you have to offer pastoral care in different ways than you can't access the same resource base that you had prior to. So I think those are the shifts that we've got to be attentive to, that instead of, if you have 75 people and you kind of do a group check-in and you realize there are 10 people I should contact directly this week. Well, if you don't have that, so you've got to contact all of those people to see who's where and who's what in the midst of all of this. So I think those things have shifted, and how there's probably a heightened awareness when you're using streaming and you're projecting this out that renders you more vulnerable, so that it's more taxing to you emotionally to really put yourself out there and say, this is me, and
yeah, it 100%. I actually said that early on. I think maybe in the second or third week, I came on the stream and I was eating my lunch and I started crying. And I was like, what is this moment right now? Because I just would never allow that. Ever. And I was just so overwhelmed and so sad, and I just had so many feelings. And I was saying, like, having lunch on a stream every day and talking very candidly, it is also like, it makes you really vulnerable, and it makes people know you at a different level than what I might typically allow people to know me at, because it's harder to, I don't know, like, it's a little bit more transparent this way especially when you're just eating something, you're just kind of chit-chatting. And not that I'm a super guarded person, but in a sense I am. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of how I am. And I think that it has allowed me to be more vulnerable and transparent with people, but that's right. You're correct when you say it's also very exhausting. So there's like multiple levels of things that I do that I'm just like, it's hard to operate life every day. Like, really.
Yeah, and well, I think as you've identified that, right, there's also then, right, those of us who are clergy, there's this pastoral image we're to be cloaked in, right, that
yes.
we're carrying all the time, and that maybe that's one of the freeing things. I've been part of a conversation since this started where we concluded that this really may be, for many of us, the first opportunity that we can really say even to one another, right? I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. I don't know what to do. And even among clergy, that's
Right.
a level of removing perceived masks, right? That we have to appear that we're competent and in control and whatever it may be, but that underneath all of this, I mean, there have been waves of grief, right? I mean, there are images that I've seen being here in New York City that are completely overwhelming. I can't even describe them, and I really have probably been more candid, transparent, vulnerable with my congregation than I perhaps ever have been in my previous pastoral life, right? That there's a shared experience here that if I can, that it's impacting me, right, in different ways, it permissions them to say, yeah, this is heavy, right? I don't know what to do with this, and I think that lingers for me when I think about reentry, right? What does reentry look like?
Right.
I don't know, but I've been thinking about, and it's not the same thing, and I don't want to compare it at all in this kind of way, but there's a softening in my heart as I've been thinking about people who have been incarcerated and then are attempting to re-enter, right? The world we re-enter is a vastly different place than it was when we left in March, right? I mean, there are so many changes that are happening that there's a softening of my, how's the best way to say it, and saying, well, and maybe this is where church then begins to think differently about role in society is, are there people who have been experiencing isolation and loneliness for long periods of time that we've just essentially discarded, right? Or whether it be someone who's incarcerated or people who are within treatment facilities or nursing homes or wherever they may be, that we have thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are chronically lonely and isolated. And does this experience heighten our awareness of their experience and soften our hearts to figure out where the church might be more present in the midst of all of this, or after this, as this begins to kind of move toward a process of re-entry and reopening of whatever that may look like. And so that's kind of, as I've reflected on my own experience, that's what's been capturing my heart and my mind as I think about the people who, even in my own building, I mean, we've been isolated, right? You don't see anybody. You don't, and yet I'm now aware that there are probably people within my own building that has been their experience well before this even happened.
Sure.
Invite those individuals into community, right? Into connection with God and with one another.
Yeah. I think I've been thinking about that probably since even the second week, about those who have been already experiencing loneliness and isolation, and thinking about, even on a mental health level, along the lines of like depression and things like that, and how all of this will probably up those numbers or statistics. But I had already been thinking about that because probably starting last September, I started doing a service once a month at a nursing home that is one of our members is there. It's like assisted living, and there's about 10 of them that come to the service every month, and I do, like music and a short devotional, and I ask if they want me to pray for anything and just kind of do that sort of thing. And the month before all of this happened, this lady, Jean, who's just the sweetest woman, she had stopped me and she said, I know not a lot of us come, but you'll never know like how much we appreciate you coming and like thinking about us. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I started to think about the fact that so often we write off people as they get older and are kind of like put away from us. Like they're taken from us, and it's just kind of like they get so easily dismissed because it's like out of sight, out of mind, like what now what, instead of thinking like, hey, that we preach every week that we never quite reach this like perfect holiness level, that there's always growing to be done. But then once people hit a certain age and have to go away, then all of a sudden we're not like offering that to them anymore. And it's almost like, well, you're good now. Like, you're all set. Like, whenever you gotta go, it's fine. It's like, but we're not like offering the spiritual growth for them or that engagement. And so I think that definitely had hit me hard then. And then when we started all going through this, I was like, oh, okay, so that's what that feels like. Like, it's isolating and it's tough. So I don't know where I was even going with all of this.
But I think it's a powerful, someone, you go once a month, you spend an hour or two with them.
Yeah.
And how life-giving that hour or two is for them. Right? I mean, it's
yeah.
And it's that message that they aren't forgotten, right? That they probably feel, most of the time they feel forgotten by family, by society, by whatever, and to be encouraged and to know at the core level that they are remembered is an important gift.
Yeah, and we had just started, so like a couple of people from the church actually come to the nursing home so that our church folks can come and sit with them. And so there's a good, 5 or so that would come pretty consistently to come sit with them. And we had just started talking about, let's do another thing in the month where we get to do something with them, not just a service, but like one of the ladies wanted to do, like, we could all sit and like learn how to knit, or like for those of us who don't know how, and some of the ladies there already knew how. So we were just starting to plan that when all of this happened. So now it's like, the other day when I went there to visit John, who lives there, it was like, it felt like prison. They made me sit outside the window, and then I was to call him to the phone on the other side of the window in the library, and the phone didn't work. So we sat there and we looked at each other for like a good 7 minutes, and that's all we did. And I just was like, like, what can you do? But, it was just thinking about the fact that even beyond doing that, trying to engage on another level that's not just a service. But now you gotta rethink all that and like see how, see what the next step is. And again, that whole thing of there seems to be now applied to all of us. So it's for what works for everyone here now should be able to also work for the way we communicate with them there. So hopefully that's of some help. I don't know.
Yeah.
Boy. It's a lot to take on, Jeff.
Yes. That's why the walks are so important.
Yeah, they are. I too, like you had mentioned, I was going to the gym every single day.
Yeah.
And there was just something about going out to the gym. And, well, first of all, of course, I had a ton of friends there. Shocker.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I talk to everybody I see. And you know what's really cool, though? One of the girls that I see there every day, her and her boyfriend have been coming to church on Sundays, on my virtual church. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And a couple of bowling families, too, which has been super exciting. But, you know, I would go there and I would check in. Like, when I checked in with my tag, Jim and Alyssa sat at the front. I always talked to Jim and Alyssa for a good couple of minutes, and then even when I was leaving, it'd be a longer chat on the way out. And it was, you know, what's going on? How's your day? And we would literally just catch up on our whole life. Like, they knew my whole life. I knew their whole life. Like, we just knew each other like that. And I just, like, I miss checking in with them every day. Like, they would just ask me about certain things they knew that were coming up. Or, I mean, it was just so engaging and just so good. And then all the other people I work out with, you know, all these people that I saw every single day, that I talked to every single day. And it's just like that piece of my life missing is draining. Like, working out in my basement is not the same. It's just not. And I don't do it every day because I just physically don't even feel like capable. Like, I going to the gym was that outlet. It was I had that routine and ritual. I got up, I got dressed, I made my egg whites, I drank my pre-workout, I got my headphones, and I walked out the door every single day. Like, this is what I do. And now sometimes I sleep till 9. Like,
and that's been the hardest thing, I think, that to not feel guilty about even sleeping later than normal.
Yeah.
I mean, there's kind of this, at least for me, this guilt that sits in, because I was like you, I was out of the house, out of the apartment by usually aiming for 5:30, 6 o'clock, get down to the Y, work out, do my thing, see my people, right?
Yep.
And then go on the train and go to the office. And all of that in an instant, right, is gone. And so I have had to permission myself that, no, you don't have to run. You can walk.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this. You know, and because there were a couple of weeks where, I mean, there was no exercise. I was eating just garbage all day. I mean, it was, and so that was, I gave myself, you know, after a couple of weeks, I said, okay, now I got to get back on the train and put some parameters in here, and yet be graceful enough with me to say, I'm not back in training mode, because I was kind of training. I was starting to train for some events this summer and this fall, and things that I wanted to do. I said, I'm not in training mode. I shouldn't expect that of myself, and I'm in a season of wandering. You know, there's, I don't know. Every day, and in some of our conversations we've talked about, you can't plan for more than 4, maybe 8 weeks at the most, but the high probability is things are going to change even within those windows of time. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, a year plan, right? A year from now, it's up for grabs, right? 6 months from now, up for grabs. I can probably have some assurance now, early on. I mean, we would make decisions, and later that afternoon, there'd be new restrictions or guidelines from CDC or from the governor. You're like,
right.
Well, we just decided that 2 hours ago. That's now off the table. I feel like we can at least operate week to week now.
Right.
And so I think that's impacted my trying to be a little more gracious with myself and trying to at least avoid all of the garbage. And I mean, I was in the bag of M&Ms every night.
Me too.
I could knock those things out. I mean, I saw it as a test. Can you still eat a bag of, I'm like.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like, for me, what's really hard for me is, so I had started working out December 2018, where I was actually going 5 days a week. Like, for 15 months, I went 5. There's less than probably a handful of weeks where I would have gone even less than 5 days. And it was just this, it was a lifestyle change. And prior to that, I just had a lot of issues with myself. Like, I had a lot of like, self-image issues. I just had a lot of issues. And so going to the gym and, like, just eating healthier made me feel better about myself. And so I'm trying really hard to not, like, regress back to what it was prior to starting that. And that's really hard to do. So Gabriel just came in here. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hey, Mr. 4.0.
Hi.
Oh, you fixed me. That's way better.
Way
my head
better
was
now.
like up in the thing. What would I do without my tech support? Grab a chair. You can come hang.
Yeah, I'll grab a chair for a second. I was just coming in to fix it. Not sure if I got a 4.0 this semester yet, so
That's all right, man. It's just a number.
I know. I'm trying to get to Japan with some scholarship or grant money though, so the average makes that a little cheaper if I can.
Yeah.
So,
He's trying.
I'm trying.
I don't think that I don't know if I told you, Jeff, but Gabe is trying to go for a year to study in Japan junior year.
A semester or a year. We haven't really figured that part out yet, though. Yeah. So they recommend that immersion is, the best way to learn a language.
Right.
And it's already starting to get a struggle. It would become a struggle. So I'm guessing 200 is going to be a little difficult. So.
Yeah.
So how are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I mean, and the advantage, right? I mean, one of the things that I started to think about, and maybe it's more where I am Liz than where you are, right? I'm thinking about how much of my life now is not dependent on physical location. Right. So all of our services are online. I mean, you could spend the year in Japan. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
I'm going with him.
Yeah, exactly.
I had been thinking about, right, because I had lived in Brazil and become pretty close to fluent in Portuguese, but it's been a while, and a lot of our churches here, we have Spanish, so I've been trying to learn Spanish. And there's certainly it's good, I'm making progress, but I had been already, before this happened, I'm like, how do I convince my people that I can spend 3 months in a South American country learning Spanish?
I love it.
I've not figured it out.
Do you have to have like continuing education credits every once in a while, because you can say I need to recertify, so I'm going.
I can go spend 3 months in Guatemala and I can still do my job. I can still,
Yep.
Everybody's going to be a little more used to this type of interaction after this. So having to do this, for a little bit because of a situation or something should be accepted by more people. People know what to expect now. So.
Yeah. Well, I was having I don't know if you saw it, there was a Facebook exchange I was with yesterday talking about, really commercial real estate for office space is going to be completely different, right? More people are going to be working from home. Mm-hmm. And it was, conversation back and forth. So I said, I can 50% of the time, right? I'll be in the office 50% working from home. And I said, I'm on the 90-10, man.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. I mean, I was on the 100 because my office is here in the house. So, that was never an issue for me. But
I'll come for the obligatory office party.
I gotta imagine more people now know that they can work from home if they need to. Though, a lot of people probably thought they couldn't do their job unless they were sitting at their desk. But
well, and the other thing, and I think some of us know this who have had that freedom, that I call it's this flow work week, right? That we've built this whole work week on 40 hours. Mm-hmm. I can do if I can do my job in 5 hours, why do I need to sit there for 8 hours, right? I should have every afternoon off, right? I mean, there's a sense in which, and when I'm at home, if my work performance is where it needs to be, and it's often better. That's some of the research is that people are actually performing at a higher level, and in less time, right? I mean, so I think there's some major shifts in how we think about work productivity in all of this. But I mean,
I've been
working from home a long time. I mean, it's just kind of second nature to me. But there's actually no requirement to go anywhere now. So that's even.
And I think like a huge part of that is too. So when I worked for Girl Scouts right before I came here, we had this. First of all, I've never been in an office where everyone just got along the way that they did. It was just so, I don't know, it was a really special work environment. And we all had lunch together every day, and we all just knew about each other's lives, and it was just a really vibrant office that was close. But there were definitely times that if I'm there, we're all chit-chatting, like, and not as, so there were times when I could work from home whenever I wanted, or I could go in the office, it didn't matter. But there were definitely times when I was like, I better not go in today because I feel chatty.
Well, every office has that, at least that one person that is never at their desk. They're always hanging over your cubicle. So, what are you doing now? Oh, yeah. You know what? Now that we're talking about that, I can see who that person was when you were working at Girl Scouts.
It wasn't me.
Oh, no, not at all.
It's that person that says, "Do you have a minute?"
You're like, "Oh, you mean an hour?" No, Liz, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just, and part of that job for me too was to travel to 4 offices. I had like 15 counties that I covered, which was wild. I drove like 2,000 miles a month. It was just very, lots of driving. But I got to go to other offices, and I just was always like, I don't think any other office chats as much as we do. And then I was like, what is the difference?
What's the X factor there?
So, anyhow, it's like, initially I thought it'd be really hard to work from home, like have an office alone. I don't have a pastoral staff or anything like that. But going out to the gym every day was a thing. I go to this protein shake bar place a couple times a week with one of my girlfriends, and we sit at the bar and we talk to everybody in there. I had my things that I did that was my bowling several nights a week. My communities were beyond just sitting at home. And they were like, I got bonus communities because I didn't have to sit in an office. So I got to get other people that I got to see. And that's one of these things that this has just impacted severely. It's like I don't have those communities anymore because there's no bowling communities gathering online for Zoom chats. Yeah. There's just not. So, but like I was telling you, some of the bowling families have been coming to church, or some of them like pop on here. Actually, my friend Charlie, he and I started working out around the same time, and he lost a ton of weight and just looks awesome. He's been struggling really hard, so he and I have been sharing back and forth about some of the stuff that's been going on. But, it's like those lack of all these communities that I got involved in. And it's just like, now I'm just existing. I'm working towards thriving, but currently I'm just surviving. So.
I gotta figure things out. With school being done now, I lost my focus a couple days ago, so I gotta do something.
We gotta give Gabe a job.
I got a bunch of video games that I haven't had a chance to play because I've been dedicated to school. Yeah. So
get on those games.
I need some distractions. I would be streaming right now, but someone's monopolizing all of the streaming equipment that I have.
Who would do that?
It's more important. It's for a good cause, so I'm not having a problem with that. If I could actually get a mixer figured out, I may just put my gameplay up online. I don't need the microphone or the camera on my
Yeah.
So, just
he has drawers of video games. Drawers. Yeah, I'm putting it out there.
That's like putting his laundry out there. You didn't need to do that, Liz.
You have all these books that you don't read.
Wow! Wow!
Escalate quickly.
Cutthroat!
I gotta go. I gotta go organize my games I don't play. Wow.
Alphabetize them in Japanese.
I do have a lot of imports. I do have a lot of Japanese-made games that I can have the audio in the original language, which I do plan on doing.
Hit the nail on the head, Jeff.
I also need to find a Japanese television show or something I can watch on YouTube and without the subtitles, so I can just listen to it. And I got some hints. And there's also a app that you can get called iTalki that you can hook up with people from. That speak a different language, and they're looking to, teach their home language, but they're also looking to learn English.
Right.
So, got some options.
That's cool. That actually sounds really cool.
Good seeing you, Jack.
All right, see you, Dave.
Bye.
Bye.
I think our hour is up. What?
I can get my water.
Oh, don't forget your water in your Yankees cup. Oh, that's the other thing I really miss. Can we just say that's the other thing I really miss? The Yankees. I know you're not a Yankees person, but listen. I'll let you miss the Red Sox.
I don't miss seeing Yankee Stadium empty.
Oh, but I miss going to games. I miss our friends Jen and Chucky. We used to go over there and have dinner. They're friends we met through bowling, and we would bring food and we'd all have dinner out on their deck and watch the game. Yeah. And there's just so many things anyhow. But sports, I feel like also, brought people together. There's just lots of things that I'm struggling with day to day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and there's when I think that's the other piece for me. We don't know when we'll be able to taste those again, right? When will we get some of those things? And I mean, this was, for us personally, it was a big year of travel, things that we had put off for many years. I mean, things that we had wanted to do for 20 years, we were finally going to be able to do, right? And now all of that is delayed. We don't know when, international travel, when is that going to come back? Or, I mean, they're just, so I'm getting, one of the comments that I would often get living in the city was, because I just explore, I go all over the place, and there would be people who have lived here their entire lives say, I've never been there, I've never seen that, I've never done it. And because every quadrant really has everything that it needs, right? I mean, it's self-contained, and now I'm getting some of that experience, right? I'm not able to go very far, and so now there's really this concentrated, I see the same buildings every day. I mean, there's not that variety that I was used to, and so I think that's, when does that opportunity come to explore again? Go to games. I mean, I could get an $8 Yankee ticket, right?
Yeah.
I'd spit on it, and
Oh, Jeff! No, sir. One of the things that I think too, we had done a couple times last year is we actually went to games. It wasn't just sitting and at home watching them. Yeah. But that was the other thing, was that I was just kind of starting to get into going to see them, going to sit and watch. And so anyhow, it's just it's the daily struggle. And I think of things all the time that I'm like, man, I really took that for granted. I took hugging people for granted. Come on. What? Never did I think there'd be a time I couldn't hug people. Now is that time.
Now is that time.
And I'm a hugger. You know that. I'm a hugger. That's just how I am. And it's rough.
And the non-huggers of the world,
they're celebrating. They're celebrating. My old senior pastor, Pastor Bob, who was my senior pastor in Binghamton, he was not a hugger. He was not a hugger at all. And right now, I'm sure he's woo woo, living it up. I don't have to hug anybody. So, yeah. Well, I think our hour is up, and I still have to go make my pies. I was telling you about these pies. Yeah. I made the crust. Now I gotta go bake them off. before I deliver those today. So, yeah, it's been my project for the week is pies and lasagna.
It's not bad, right? And maybe that's the last thing was in the midst of all of this, we realize we're forced to confront the reality that we're not what we produce, right? That I think we've all lived under this, that our identity is tied to what we produce every week. So whether it's a pastor and you have certain activities and things that you function in, or you're someone that works in a particular office, that this space is forcing us or is giving us the opportunity to really reflect on the fact that there's more to us than what we produce in any given week. And when that is, and that's been maybe the vulnerable space, right? When we pull that away, we're forced to confront then what's left, right? Well, who am I at the core of my being if I'm more than just that?
Right.
The baking pies, that's part of who you are, right? You're a nurturer.
Yes, I am. Less of the baking pies, probably more the lasagna is where I'm at. But I happen to have pie stuff. So it got snuck in there. But, yeah, that was part of just a way. We have a family, the wife has got probably my mom's age, is in hospice care, and has stopped cancer treatment. So her mom comes to the church and maybe is watching, I don't know, but her mom comes to church, so I'm bringing them over to each of them. So one going to the mom and one going to their family. But that's like the one way I can do some sort of care, I can bring you lasagna for you to eat all together, and though I can't visit or anything, it's like, I can leave that there. So, well, let's pray, and then we'll be all set.
Good.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, if you want to start in prayer, I'll end in prayer.
Okay, let's pray.
Okay.
Well, for these moments, we are grateful. Just the opportunity to reflect on the journey that we've been on, in particular over these last number of weeks and months. It's uncertain terrain for us. We don't necessarily know how everything will unfold for us. But we do know that these are opportunities for us to reevaluate relationships. Our relationship with you, that you're available for more than just support, but for a deep relationship. And the Christian tradition has often talked about it through the image of union with you and union with one another. Help us move into that space of intimacy and vulnerability with you and with one another. Help us to have holy imaginations, to think about what it might mean to be church as things reopen and we begin to re-enter, and the relationships we might have, the populations that we might understand a little bit better that perhaps we've dismissed or discarded. I pray a blessing upon my friend Liz as she goes about her work. Encourage her, strengthen her, continue to allow her to offer that joy and that laughter to the world, that we might experience hope and see a future greater than anything we could ask or imagine. So bless her, I pray. Bless her congregation, her community, her friends, and as they reopen, whatever that looks like and whenever that looks like, we do pray safety and protection over all of us in these days. And so to you we offer our prayer. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
God, I just thank you so much for this opportunity through creative means and a way of technology for Jeff and I to meet, for others to engage as well and to watch that. And I just thank you so much for the fact that we can honor you by gathering in such a way and that we have a means to do that. I'm overwhelmed by the situation, by the day-to-day tasks, and I'm often overwhelmed by reality in these days. And God, I'm just praying that you continue to guide me in those moments where I'm feeling overwhelmed, and where Jeff has expressed that as well, where we're discovering more about you, more about ourselves. And God, I'm just praying that you continue to give us creative means and creative access to people and to places that we are needing to minister. And I pray that you continue to keep the creative juices flowing as we move forward in this new reality that we find ourselves in this new context. And I pray that you continue to inspire us and continue to encourage us, and continue to find people to engage and discuss and dream with, so that we can continue to be challenged instead of trying to force things back to the way they were. So God, continue to be with us in this place. Lord, I'm praying for Jeff in his ministry, in his daily walk with you, and for his family, for his church, for his community. Lord, that you continue to use him in mighty and powerful ways that he's already being used in. And I just pray more than anything that you continue to help us feel your presence, sense that your presence is here, and that we are not alone in our daily walk of this new life, but that you have not left us alone. And I pray that you would just continue to give that creativity, continue to give that inspiration. God, I'm praying for peace and wisdom and discernment in the days ahead as we look to have conversations about what it means to start to gather again in upstate New York. That you would be with us during this time and help us to make good decisions and good choices that keeps people safe. And God, we love you, and all of this is always for you. And we pray all of these things in your Son's name by the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Jeff, thank you so much. It has been so nice catching up with you. I've enjoyed this. So tell Stacy, the girls, I say hello. And yeah, so I will talk to you soon. I'm sure I'll catch you on Facebook per usual.
That's where we do it.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. See ya.